Welcome to the Innovation World Podcast, your go-to source for all things innovation, invention, and entrepreneurship. Our website is www.innovationworld.org.
Welcome to the Innovation World podcast series. My name is Julie Shively, and I am the founder of Innovation World and the co-founder of the Global Innovation Field Trip. One of the things that we love to do is podcast with young people who are making changes and building new things and creating solutions for all of the problems in our world. And my co-host, Jake, would you please introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Jake Mendelson, and I've been very, very happy to be working with Julie on a number of different things, one of which is the Global Innovation Field Trip, and I hope we'll get a chance maybe at the end just to chat about that.
Well, we can share about that right now if you'd like.
Where
Where are you, Jake, and what do you do?
Oh, I'm sorry. I am in West Hartford, Connecticut, which is in the center of the state. And the person we're going to be talking to today just happens to be a very good inventor student also from Connecticut. And he's going to be participating again in the Connecticut Invention Convention, which has been doing this for over 40 years. And that's very exciting. The Global Innovation Field Trip, Julie?
Yeah. So, go ahead.
What we have are a wonderful opportunity for students to showcase what they have done. It's not a competition. We don't have winners, but it's called the Global Innovation Field Trip, and it's about anything dealing with innovation, anything a student has done that is new and creative. It could be an invention, but it could also be a song, a dance, a poem, something you have done that is involved creativity and innovation. And it's a global Zoom 24-hour event where students around the world get a chance for 10 minutes to showcase what they've done, to talk about it, to demonstrate it. And then we have adults who will ask them questions. There are people around the world who will, ask questions and talk to the student about their innovation. And this is streamed live on Zoom and on YouTube. And the next one is going to be April 20th and 21. And that's a Saturday and Sunday. And we go for 24 hours. And if you go to Global Innovation Field Trip, you can go to the website and find out more about it. And one more thing before Julie, interrupts me, it is free. It is absolutely free for any student to participate in this. All they have to do is register and tell us what would be approximately a good time for them to present, and we will try and fit them into the very, very busy schedule. Now, anything else, Julie?
The only thing that you missed was, what is the significance of us doing it on April 2021 this year?
Oh, I'm sorry. Why don't you talk about that?
So there is this really cool organization that's now recognized by the United Nations. It's called World Creativity and Innovation Day and Week. And the actual World Creativity Innovation Day is Sunday, April 21. So we made sure that we adjusted our date this year for this creative event to fall right on World Creativity and Innovation Day. So we're very excited that we could do that. It made just absolute perfect sense. We just have to try to figure out how to get them to make one of those in October when we do our next Global Innovation Field Trip as well. So we have more updates, but I think that we'll wait for those until after we're finished with our wonderful guest today. And so I would like to give the floor to Rav from Connecticut and allow him to introduce himself, maybe include how long he's been innovating, because it sounds like it's been a while. And then he can share with us his innovation story. And on the other side, we'll have some questions for him. Rav, it's all yours.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity. My full name is Ravindu Karunaratne, but my friends call me Rav. I am 15 years old, and I'm currently a sophomore at Hamden, Connecticut, at Hamden Hall Country Day School, which is located in my hometown, Hamden, Connecticut. Aside from inventing, I do a lot of extracurriculars such as swimming, playing the violin, and even participating in like musicals and plays at my school. And some interests, I really like traveling around the world with my parents, and I'm also interested in a lot of like history, especially military history and World War One. All right. I've been inventing for around 7 years, and I first started inventing at a public school called Bear Path Elementary School. I was really intrigued by the Connecticut Invention Convention program there, and I decided to start off inventing. My first invention was called the Getter Upper, and it actually never made it that far, but my friends really loved the invention, so I decided to try again next year in the Connecticut Invention Convention. And my next invention was called the Rising Candle, and that invention actually made it all the way to nationals and made got a lot of awards. So that really was my inspiration to continue invention. And since then, I have made around 7 inventions. I wish I could go to detail on all of them, but I could just give you a list of all my inventions right now. My first one was the Getter Upper. Second one was called the Rising Candle. Third one was called the Template. And the template actually made it into the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History. It's currently stored there right now. My next invention was the Fire Escapade, the Exterminator Plus, the IAAA, the Magrip, and currently I'm going back to working on the IAAA and calling it the IAAA Plus. So yeah, this throughout like the invention endeavor, I got to experience like to survey people, interview people. I made like a lot of connections with doctors, nurses, elderly like caregivers, with like family and even more. So it was a great experience. And my inspiration for making all of these inventions was definitely my grandma. She battled Parkinson's disease for around a decade, and throughout her struggles, I really like witnessed her struggles throughout her daily activities, and most of my inventions are like dedicated to helping her throughout her daily activities. And my most recent invention, the IAAA Plus, which I'll go into detail a bit more later, was to help her like reduce damage to her head whenever she would fall. And when I visited her over the summer, which was the last summer I saw her alive, I witnessed her fall very often and hit her head due to her age and complications with Parkinson's disease. And that really inspired me to research more about this issue and make something that would really like prevent her from getting further injuries throughout her falls. She unfortunately passed away last year, but I am still continuing making and developing this invention so others who are suffering from similar ailments or neurodegenerative disorders can benefit from my invention.
So, Brad, I'm just going to step in real quick just to say I'm very sorry to hear about your loss, but I am so inspired that you were inspired by your grandma. And so often we see empathy as a driver for these young innovators to move forward and build things. And so she's done much for you as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. She was like my main inspiration, but I still want to continue and help everybody around the world who's suffering from Parkinson's disease or similar diseases.
Okay, so tell us about your IAAA Plus. How does it help?
All right. So as I mentioned before, I gave you a story about what I witnessed. My grandma, yeah, she had Parkinson's disease and she fell often, and she couldn't really shield her head from the falls due to her age and Parkinson's disease. So she would hit her head very often when she fell, and I actually saw her just one day lying on the ground, and her head was like surrounded in a pool of blood, and she didn't really make any noise, and she had suffered a lot of injuries due to this. So I decided to make a band that which you could wear around the head that would first absorb the impact to the head during a fall, and also it would immediately alert anybody nearby to the scene whenever she fell, because she wouldn't really make any noise and it would take a really long time before anyone really noticed her on the ground. And like staying on the ground for such a long time would really make the injury worse. So notifying anybody nearby quickly would prevent any further injuries from happening.
How would it notify them?
Well, first of all, I made a system. I made a circuit, which when an impact would occur, the circuit would turn on, and the circuit is connected to a buzzer, and the buzzer would make a noise, which would like alert anybody nearby. But a lot of judges asked me this question: what if a caregiver was outside or at work when a fall happened? So currently, I'm working on adding a system that would send a text message to a user whenever a fall occurs, and this would use Raspberry Pi. So the Raspberry Pi essentially is a mini computer, and you can put code into it using the programming language called Python. And I use this programming language to add a sound sensor and a motion sensor, which when a fall occurs, the sound and motion sensors would detect that a fall has occurred, and it would use the programming language, the programming software, to send a text message to a user whenever they are outside or at work, to alert them that a fall has occurred.
Very good. That makes sense. So one of the things I noticed as you were starting to explain that when you talked to the judges, they were asking you questions, and from that resulted change. And I think that was they were asking, what if nobody was home? What if they weren't within listening distance, a buzzer? I just want to point that out. Not all innovators will take that type of question or comment and use it to build a new iteration. And I think it's really important that you're accepting that feedback from judges and actually working with it. You know, I'm sure that you decided whether or not it was valued information, and then from there you decided, okay, it's going to work better if I solve this problem first. So I just want to commend you on being open to that type of thing, because I think it's really important as an innovator that you're open to all possibilities.
Well, thank you very much. Inventing is really a community effort, and one of the key terms in inventions is called iteration, just building on your invention like throughout time and through comments and feedback. My first invention, I had a lot of support from my parents, and still now, since my mom works in physics, I ask her like for a lot of tips in my inventions, and they really help. And a lot of feedback from the judges and people I interview, they like their feedback really helps me improve my invention and make it the best it can be. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
If we're just talking about things, I'd like to add another point. You don't have to keep muting yourself, Rob. It's okay. I know you were talking about addressing the condition of Parkinson's disease and falling, but let me just assure you, people who are elderly and don't have any Parkinson's disease also fall. And so I have to go for an annual checkup, and the doctor always asks me things like, is there a railing on your stairs? Are there any obstacles when you're walking through your house? Have you fallen in the past 6 months? Because and I'm perfectly healthy, but people who are older often do fall. And so you might want to consider structuring this thing just not for Parkinson's, but for anybody over a certain age who is having locomotion difficulties.
Well, I completely agree with that statement. If anybody's around the age of 65, they are at risk of falling. And even if they are perfectly healthy, one fall can completely like change their lives. So just wearing the stand as a precaution would definitely prevent them from like getting severely injured and changing their life forever.
I don't think that many people realize, unless you're working with an elderly person, that when you fall, if you stay down, the longer you're down, the more it impacts your body because of the way your blood moves through your body, and it can take something from a not so bad fall to a very, very bad incident quickly. So very good. So what other kind of things do you see in the future for your IAAA plus? I mean, are there other things or features you would like to add to it?
Well, this is certainly one of the main features, but I'm thinking of like elderly people are definitely concerned with fashion. So just having a huge band and like a Raspberry Pi sticking out will not probably look the best. So I'm probably like making it more fashionable, maybe probably adding like a beanie that they can wear and definitely making it lighter so it's comfortable to wear for a longer period of time. So that's
Oh, yeah, that is absolutely a great idea. I was just thinking of a band, but you're right. If you put a scarf in, make it a scarf or something like that, absolutely, yes.
yeah, definitely. Thank you.
In fact, my wife's birthday is coming up. How quickly can you make one for me?
Yeah, I could definitely.
I wonder if it could ever get to the point where it's just like something that goes over your ear, like the hearing aid kind of, not hearing aids, but the new the mic, not mics, what speakers, little speakers that
Yeah.
just wrap around your ear. If you could see it ever getting to be like that size versus something that really goes around your head, make it a lot easier if it's compact like that.
Yeah, I agree. It could be like a hearing aid for comfort, but a lot of falls occur like in this region and it's very susceptible to injury here. So I think the band would be great. I
Yeah.
actually tested it on a dummy, like a martial arts dummy, and I put the band around him and tested him to like various like degrees of falls, like front falls, back falls, and I noticed that most of the falls would end up like getting in like getting contact here. So I might like continue having like a band around these areas, probably the front and the back. Not so much the sides because the side, whenever he fell, he wouldn't really hit the ground. But since the Bob is a really rigid dummy, I might probably have to test on more anthropomorphic dummies. They're like more realistic, like crash test dummies that are more like physically accurate. I probably have to do more testing, but I'm still probably going to continue with the band-like design.
That's a really good thought. You're absolutely right. When people fall sideways, their shoulder hits first and probably not their head. But when they fall backward or frontward, it's their head that hits.
Yeah.
Um, you might want to go to the hospital and just interview emergency room people and ask them, what percentage of the people coming in with fall injuries, from the head or the front or something like that, just so you get a feel for. Because then when you go to market this thing, you can say, I have real statistics behind me that, this is what happens. That's a good
Well,
point.
yeah, I actually have interviewed hospice care workers who have experience with this. And one of their stories was that a lot of elderly patients, like in the night, they sometimes try to climb out of their bed and they fall out and hit their head. And nobody really notices this because they don't really make any noise. So they be like found in the morning and their injuries sometimes really couldn't be reversed. So if this band could like go to hospices or hospitals, this would definitely help them.
You know, just to add another point, while your description is great, somebody who falls, and as Julie mentioned, they need to get up because if you've fallen, you don't want to stay there. I mean, suppose you fell in the snow and you're not injured, but you're in the snow, that's not good. You need to get out of so that even if the person doesn't have an actual incapacitating injury, they still need to be able to get help, but they have to be able to get up. So I think this is a great idea for more than just Parkinson's, just anybody who's living alone. If I tripped on the dog, somebody's got to help me.
Yeah,
The only
definitely.
trick will be is getting some stubborn old people to wear it. Like
Yeah,
like my mother will be 91 this year, and we've all talked about getting her the necklaces because she's had a couple falls and she won't do it. I said, "What if we all wore one? Would you wear that?" And she won't even wear it if her daughters wear them. She won't wear. So I would have to
Well,
give her the headband, convince her how beautiful it looks, and not tell her what it's for.
yes, yes.
yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. It's the latest fashion. And if she wears this, people will think that she's 80 instead of 91.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have to market this really well.
You're going to have to create a whole, what do they call those test panels of people? A
Uh,
whole elderly market research
yeah,
group
yeah,
that can
yeah.
sit there and help you design what's going to be in fashion and what's stylable.
That's like a trend of some sort.
We can get Taylor Swift. We'll call Taylor Swift and we'll get her to be the spokesperson for this event.
I
Yeah,
don't
then
think
you
she's
get like,
representative of the market,
No,
Jake.
no, 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 she is. Seen videos of her. She's jumping around, dancing around on stage. She's a prime
Oh,
candidate to fall and hurt herself. Okay. And tell her you will donate one, okay, to her. She does because she may not have enough money, okay, and you can donate one to her, and she just has to wear it on a video, and that's it.
Yeah.
that's a really good idea.
Well, while we make light of a very important innovation and a very important topic, I want to congratulate you on your work that you've done so far with this, and I can't wait to see someday when it's on the market. I think since I'm 64, you've got 1 year left, right, to get it on the market for me. Luckily, haven't had any falls, but I have, and we don't have Parkinson's. It doesn't seem to run in our family, but we do have tremors that run in our family, which can have the same effect pretty much if you're tremoring hard enough. I look forward to seeing it come out. I do have another question for you though, sir. And I ask this of just about everybody we podcast with, because I want to know if you had the opportunity to go to lunch with anybody in the world, who would that be and why?
Living or dead? Living or dead?
Well, before they died.
Well, yeah.
You want to be able to eat your lunch.
Uh, well, I did tell you that I'm really interested in swimming. So I'd probably invite someone like Michael Phelps to go to lunch with, probably because he has so much experience and he's like an Olympic gold medalist. So hearing some tips from him would definitely like really help me in my swimming career. But yeah, there's a lot of people I'd like to go to lunch with.
Well, yeah, you could have a big group lunch, I guess. Who else would you pick? Michael Phelps is a great choice, by the way. I mean, if you need something from the other side of the table, he's got those arms, those
Yeah.
real arms. He's got his wings.
Um, well, another group, you might laugh at this, but since I'm I'm in the Mamma Mia musical at my school, so I'd probably ask, like, the group ABBA, right?
Yeah.
I'd probably ask them to come to lunch with me because um I'm doing the role of Pepper in the musical, and they've given me a lot of tips on how to sing well because I'm not that great at singing. And so yeah, that would be great. Their music is also really good. So yeah.
Ralph, let me just jump in here for a second. I'm going to say something that sounds stupid, okay? But we can we can later tell you a story about how it really happened. I believe the group ABBA is touring again, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they're making a new album. Yeah, I think.
Yes. And I think so. So here's the story. I don't know where they're going to be, but at some point they're going to be in New York City. And you don't live very far from New York City. Okay. You should write them a letter and tell them exactly what you've just said. Okay. That you're in the musical at school and you're a big admirer and you'd love to meet them. Okay. And I know right now you're thinking that's ridiculous. That's never going to happen. Okay. Julie, would you like to tell another story?
Yeah, we had our buddy Siddharth Vikram, who is from Massachusetts, who we podcasted with a couple years ago. We told the same thing to, and his choices were Elon Musk and I
Neil
lost
Neil
Neil
deGrasse
deGrasse Tyson.
Tyson.
And he decided he would write to Neil deGrasse Tyson, though he foo-fooed our suggestion and said, this really isn't going to work. And he wrote this really nice handwritten letter. His mom sent it to us. And he got a response, not from Neil deGrasse Tyson, but from his crew. And they invited him to an upcoming talk he was doing that happened to be in the same state. And he got backstage passes to come ask him questions. So it can happen. And, you know, people always think that it can't happen, so they don't bother to write. But not only should you write to them, you should wait to write to them until after you have the link to this podcast and you say, I gave you a plug in an innovation podcast, and let them listen to you. Now, they might not be happy they were behind Michael Phelps, but it's a big table you're going to lunch at, right? Not just a little table. It was my fault because I said pick one, and Abba's a whole group. So, you know, that's why you didn't think of them first.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right. Well, very good. Thank you for that. Anything else that you'd like to share real quick before we close the show that might help inspire other young students just having an opportunity to get into that great Connecticut Invention Convention or any other invention convention?
Well, I always said that inventions is a community thing. You have to communicate with everybody around you in order to find more about the world, find more about any problems. It might be a personal issue, it might be a group issue, but people always think it's for granted that all the problems in the world are solved, but they aren't. There are still problems that we need to make inventions for, we need to solve. You can be that person. You can find a problem in your community or in the world and find a stop to it.
Very good. Excellent words of inspiration. All right. Well, Rev, thank you so much for being our guest. We look forward to seeing you again, hopefully at the Connecticut State Invention Convention. I think it's in June.
June 8th. Saturday, June 8th at University of Connecticut in Stores.
Hope to see you there, and we hope to see you on the Global Innovation Field Trip and anywhere else that you will come join us and tell your innovation story. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and I'll see you at Stores then.
Yeah. Yes. And I want to thank the listeners for coming and joining us today. One more plug for the Global Innovation Field Trip. It happens April 20th, 21st. It is a 24-hour online multi-country celebration of youth innovation. And I think to date we have had 70 students from 70 countries participate. We have somewhere around 1,170 presenters altogether that have been on the show. And we're excited about having this next program starting the weekend of World Creativity and Innovation Day. And also a real quick plug for the National Innovator Challenge that's going to open on April 21st as well, although I don't think it closes until after that Connecticut Invention Convention closes, because I know some of the students from the Connecticut Invention Convention will advance to the National Innovator Challenge. So if you're interested in a national challenge for your students, look up nationalinnovatorchallenge.org. And then students that excel from that event, they move up to the Global Innovation Challenge, which is hosted by the inventfuture.global, which is the organization that Jake manages. And that's always really cool. I think we had, I don't remember how many countries participated last year in it, Jake.
It was like 21, something in
21. That's pretty cool for I think it was a third year event. So we're looking for even a bigger group this next coming year. So thank you all for joining us. Jake, thank you. Rav, thank you. And everybody have a great day. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us today for the Innovation World podcast. Innovation World is your go-to source for all things innovation, invention, and entrepreneurship. Our website is www.innovationworld.org.